Japanese Nichicon capacitors, dampening factor, total harmonic distortion, Burr Brown DAC, phono amp, sub out, reliability are the claim to fame of the Yamaha A-S301 and up series of receivers. On the top here is the Yamaha A-S301, here's the A-S501, and the next couple are the A-S701, A-S801. These are excellent receivers, and they punch way above their price. There's the reason I have two of them. Their claim to fame, as I mentioned, are the Japanese Nichicon capacitors, which are known for excellent audio reproduction, excellent dampening factor, which helps fast articulation of usually the lower frequencies, very low total harmonic, very low total harmonic distortion at rated wattage, Burr Brown DACs for the digital inputs. It has an optical and a coaxial, a phono amp that's very respectable, a subwoofer output that's crossed over at 90 hertz, excellent reliability, and a very thoughtful layout. These amplifiers have 8 different inputs, starting with the phono stage that is amplified. Then there's a CD auxiliary tuner, auxiliary 1, 2, 3, as well as digital inputs. This USB port you see here is not an input, it's a just a power output. So you may power a Bluetooth receiver. I believe that's what it was intended for. This feeds into the internal Burr Brown DAC, which is excellent. It is not the best. You will find DACs that will outperform that. For example, sitting here on the side, the topping E30. However, you're going to spend 50% of the price, almost 50% of the price of this unit, which is $350, to outperform the already included internal Burr Brown DAC. So therefore, I think that's extreme value. And the only time I can really discern difference between this Burr Brown DAC and this topping E30 is in direct side-by-side A-B comparison, really listening to it. There are differences, but extremely hard to pick up, in my opinion. Not quite making it worth the price difference. The main reason of myself having this DAC here is so I can use my computer on the side with the USB output right there to use that as a USB DAC. As I mentioned, that's not a USB DAC. That's just a power output intended for a Bluetooth receiver. As I mentioned, there's 8 different inputs that are selectable by this knob. There is digitally selectable, as you can see. There's a light that can indicate your input. Here's the volume knob. This does get some critiques for not having a light here. I do not find that problematic. And there are endpoints on this knob, so I do not believe it's digitally a digital volume stepper. However, and so one worry would be, does this get staticky or over time? I have not had that problem. I think I've had this unit for close to 5 to 10 years now, long time. And then there's the power output. Power is not digital. It's a hard button. You have speaker selection. You can do A, B. There are relays. You can hear them. B and A and B at the same time, and that's what they look like on the back. The difference between the AS301 in terms of the outputs as well as the inputs and the series going up. So these are all gold plated after this unit. So in the AS501, A-S701, A-S801, these are all gold plated. Okay, these are the different bass adjustments, treble adjustment, balance, loudness. I always leave them flat. There's some information online. This impacts the frequency response reproduction. All right, now this is the remote that is included. So it takes 2 AA's, and it's pretty good. And here you see it. These 9 buttons in the middle don't do anything for the receivers, but then you can select and amplify. I've actually programmed a Arduino little computer chip to read these buttons, so I can control my computer, the music on my computer. And then here's the volume knob does turn, and then the selection is as such. Just to go over some specifications, the $350 A-S301 is rated at 60 watts, which sounds anemic, but remember that's RMS, and this is the number they're being honest to. The 0.19 total harmonic distortion. To get a 60 watts with that much harmonic distortion is actually very, very good. Secondly, the dampening factor you see right here is 201. That helps with fast, low frequency reproduction. These amplifiers, I've compared them A/B to many other amplifiers, especially Class D amplifiers. These are Class A/B amplifiers, and that where I find that the Class D falls apart is in the is where the dampening factor helps these, and that's fast, low frequency sound reproduction, and for the receiver to not be impacted by the small amount of energy that's coming back from after the low frequency is reproduced. The speaker, once the driver returns to home position, will send some electricity back to the receiver, and the receiver's ability to ignore that gives it the ability to reproduce the next low frequency in an articulate manner quickly. And so that's where these really excel, and that's where I see them pull away from the competition, especially Class D amplifiers, which I find interesting that they use a bunch of Class D amplifiers in modern subwoofers, but that maybe someone else can shed light on. What else is interesting about the specifications? And then if you want to look at the A-S501, their power output is 85 watts with the same low total harmonic distortion. That's RMS, and the dampening factor is 240 instead of 201. I bought this unit second because this one had so much power. I almost never have the volume set to further than there, and it's still plenty of power. And so I had figured I'd save $200 for the second unit and get this one. And this has been plenty powerful, and the sound signature is the exact same. The one benefit I see of the 301 is I get more fine tuning on the volume because I get a larger amount of circumference to use to adjust the volume, since it doesn't have as much power. And so if you're debating between these two, definitely go for the A-S301 in my opinion. It's more power than you'll need, and it sounds just about exactly the same, and you're not missing out on any features other than the power rating and the gold-plated outputs, but it comes with the exact same remote, and that's about it. And last but not least, you have this. I almost rarely ever use it, not because I don't need to, but if I needed to, it's great. The headphone amplifier, and these are not similar to the Burr Brown DAC and the Phono preamp. They're not the best, but very respectable, very usable. Probably only find real differences in direct A/B comparison. Hope this review helps. I just wanted to touch on some things that I don't typically read about these, and is not easy to find, such as the type of DAC and the crossover frequency. And I haven't seen those. All the information is there, but you kind of have to dig for it. And so hopefully this helps anybody deciding whether or not to buy these units. Go for it. internals, many of the internals that matter in these units are actually made in Japan, even though the receiver itself is, you can see here, made in Malaysia. But the actual, I figured, like, where it counts, they didn't skimp. All right, take care.